Hey, this is Zach with Pursue the Passion, and today's story is about Joel Dickinson. Now, Joel is not rich and he's not famous, and to be honest, he made a lot of the same choices and mistakes as many of us in our youth. But the fact of the matter is, what makes Joel's story so important is when he realized he wasn't happy, he actually did something about it.
Like I wrote to you earlier, I ended up drinking beer and partying and going to the bars instead of studying, and I was immature and not ready for school at that point. It was a natural progression to go from high school to college because all of my friends were doing it, and didn't appreciate what I had at the time. And that maybe was something that I was sowing my oats and feeling my way, and that was the way I did it at the time. Looking back, I regret it. I look at all these young engineers that I work with now that go straight through school, and I think, man, they've got so many more opportunities than I had because they did that.
So Joel did what many of us do when opportunity is abundant. He took it for granted. He drops out of school and he takes his first job in road construction. Now, he liked it, but after about 7 years he started to wonder, is this really what I want to be doing for the next 30?
So I didn't plan on going back. I always wanted to, but I didn't think that that was going to happen. And it wasn't until I think we realized that, you know, this is dangerous work. You're on the road at night and on weekends, and I'm scared when you don't come home right away. And so we finally just said, forget it, I'm going to quit and go back to school.
So 10 years after dropping out of school, Joel decides he's going back. I mean, what's really stopping him? Self-doubt, insecurity? Well, yeah, turns out those things can be pretty intimidating. It doesn't mean you shouldn't confront them.
That was very scary to, so I'm 32 years old and talking to my wife about going back to school, and so how do you start that process?
Joel starts looking into the local community college system. To his surprise, it turns out there's tons of resources tailor-made to get people like him in school, into a university, and out with a diploma. Now, this may sound a little bit like a public service announcement, but that doesn't mean that there weren't cynics.
I kind of laugh because I remember telling my friends from high school that I was going to pursue engineering, and they're kind of like, yeah, right, and I'm going to fly to the moon. In high school, it was fairly easy for me, but I didn't do very well. I was always middle of my class, but I never studied. So once you're older, I guess, and you look back and you apply yourself, it's amazing how things really fall into place. So it was very rewarding. It was very rewarding.
So Joel's back in school, he's getting the grades, and he even realizes a newfound passion. You see, when Joel started engineering, he wanted to be a civil engineer. It's because it was familiar to him. But it turns out, when you start learning new things, you discover interests you never even knew you had.
At that point, I thought I was going to pursue civil engineering, and then found out when I got into the engineering classes, well, all engineers take all the same math, and I thought, well, heck, I'm enjoying chemistry, I might as well do chemical engineering then.
Today, Joel is an engineer of sustainable initiatives and technologies with SRP. He's working every day to bring us clean, affordable, and long-term solutions to our energy problems. He's got a dream to chase down, and it's all because he didn't settle.
One thing that I do think is kind of cool about what I've ended up doing is that I don't think anybody should count themselves out. It's never too late to go back to school. And if you don't like what you're doing, change it.